This is Carlisle Speaks Wall Street, and we talk about Wall Street and Wall Street technology. But recently I've expanded the scope of the channel to cover technology in general. So a lot of crazy weather has been happening this year. We had hurricane upon hurricane, and there were earthquakes as well, and it just doesn't stop. And it's serious. I mean, you had a Category 5 hurricane that just came through. First of all, you had the hurricane in Texas, right? That was a major catastrophe, pretty significant damage. Then you had this other Category 5 that hit Florida, hit the Caribbean, the Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico, right? So Puerto Rico. Puerto, it's not Puerto, Puerto Rico. And there was an earthquake around that time as well. Then you had extra hurricanes. There was like hurricanes to spare. So you had some extra hurricanes that kind of didn't really develop into anything. They just kind of fizzled out. They're out in the ocean, not a really big threat. And then you have now, I guess Jose is hitting up the Northeast, and there is Maria. Maria's hitting the Virgin Islands tonight, Puerto Rico tomorrow. I don't know what other islands got hit. But the question is the government creating these hurricanes? Well, first of all, let me educate a lot of people. And first of all, can the government create these hurricanes? Can they modify the weather? Absolutely. To the weather modification part, as far as the hurricane, well, that is yet to be disclosed. However, there's been a lot of research done into stopping hurricanes, and obviously the military has been looking into applications as well. But the bottom line is weather modification is a reality. It's not theoretical. Of course, there's theoretical applications to it, but it's not theoretical, it's actual. One of the forms of weather modification that we have been doing is basically called cloud seeding. The general purpose of cloud seeding is to encourage rainfall. One of the reasons for that typically is because of, I believe, in like a drought type of scenario, so they can seed clouds to motivate rainfall so that there can be more water. Now, that is one of the forms. There's also a lot of research into things like using lasers, using soot to basically block the sun, to change the temperature, to basically, again, to sort of instigate certain weather patterns. So weather control is a thing. I'll put a link in the description so you guys can look it up. You can look it up as well. Just Google right now, weather modification. You can look at the wiki page. You will see references to military applications, to I guess environmental in terms of, like I said, the cloud seeding and things like that. So that's a real thing. Also, if you want to do a little bit more research to learn more about weather control, the realities of it, not so much the sci-fi of it, you can do a little bit of research into something called HAARP, which is, I believe it's HAARP. So look that up, HAARP. And you can add, in context to that, you can add weather modification. For those of you that don't know how to do the advanced searches in Google, basically type in HAARP space +, then type in weather modification. You can put weather modification in quotes if you want to be specific, but I think weather modification by itself should be good enough. But the reality is, once again, we can control weather. How far we can control weather, that's the question. You have to consider that the military will have new sort of fringe technology that we will not be aware of for a long time. Sometimes it could even be 10 years. Some of the stuff you see coming out now, the military has been developing for a long time. Case in point, stealth technology. Stealth technology existed long before you or I were even aware of it. The military has been doing a lot of secret testing, top secret testing of sort of fringe technology, sort of the stuff you're seeing in sci-fi, actually working on that stuff. Then years and years later, it gets revealed, the applications of these new technologies. For example, lasers and things like that they've been using. Using sound as a weapon, that's something else that they've done as well. So with that in mind, let's combine some factors. The military is a lot of times ahead of the curve. They're working on future technologies now in secret without us knowing about it. That's a pattern, that's a fact, right? So what the military is capable of today is, I wouldn't say most likely, is above what we are aware of. So whatever you see out now, that's the stuff that was developed a long time ago that is now declassified or we're now aware of it. But the stuff that's current now, what the military can do now, you don't know about it, right? So they're on the next level. So that's number one. Number two, weather modification is possible. We can control weather in terms of rain. We have been doing extensive research into controlling hurricanes and things like that. The military wants to create weather, use it as a weapon. Other agencies want to prevent weather in terms of safeguarding, for example, the hurricane right now in Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico, it would be nice if they could actually stop the hurricane, right, or minimize it. The last hurricane was going to hit the Virgin Islands. It veered off at the last minute. Would it be nice if we could do that? But anyway, so weather modification is possible. Military has technology that is beyond what we are aware of, right? HAARP has been doing a lot of research into weather modification. Final factor, not drawing a conclusion here, just putting all the facts out there, putting all the knowledge out there. You do your own research, draw your own conclusion. Final factor is, if you have a new sort of weapon, you need to test the weapon before you deploy the weapon, right? So if there's a new technology that comes out, some kind of weapon that we have, we would need to test it. Just like when we had the atomic bomb and things like that, there were test detonation. And of course it crashes yet again. So right now we have this thing with North Korea, right? They are been in the process of advancing their missile technology. They've been looking into these ICBMs, intercontinental ballistic missiles, missiles capable of striking other continents. They can put a warhead, like for example, a nuclear warhead on these things, launch them into other continents. So right now, North Korea supposedly has the capability to hit the continental United States. Now, in the development and research of these missiles, they did test launches, which you heard about on the news, right? That's normal. You have a new weapon, you have to test it before you actually deploy or utilize it. So, if in fact we did have the ability to create weather and to use weather as a weapon, we would need to test it. Kind of hard to test bad weather, extreme weather in secret. So, just like you would see test missile launches to test future missile technology, you would of course expect to see test deployments of any kind of weather weapon. So you would expect to see weather, strange weather perhaps, unless they were able to do it very sort of incognito, but it's new technology, so we would be still learning. So how much control will we have over this sort of weather control? So very likely the testing would be very visible. You might not realize what's happening, but you might see some strange weather. For example, hurricane after hurricane, category 5 after category 5, earthquake and hurricane pair the last time. Now we have another earthquake and hurricane pair again. Earthquake today, hurricane tomorrow. Well, a hurricane now for some people, right? So, I'm not saying that that's the case. However, it is sort of a logical theory that it is probable that what you're seeing now is the military testing weather control weapons. Again, I am not saying that they are. I have no evidence to prove that. All I'm doing is putting all the facts together and proposing that it's at least possible, and if it is possible, and if it is occurring, this is how it would occur. We would see the testing of the weapons before they are deployed. Tensions right now are very high with the United States, North Korea, and other parties. So if we were going to deploy a new weapon, we don't want to use nuclear, we're trying to do new cleaner things, this might be the opportunity to do that. But again, you would want to do your testing before deploying. So you would see things like you're seeing now. Once again, not saying that's the case, just presenting a theory. So I gotta go right now. Two Guns Boxing, are you talking about weaponization of weather? Absolutely, absolutely. I'm gonna post a link in the description so you guys can take a look. There's a wiki page that covers weather modification. And once again, as I stated before, if you just joined, that is a fact. We have been doing that. Seeding, cloud seeding, you can look that up. Cloud seeding is a thing to introduce weather, rainfall, or to sort of instigate it, right? So the question is, if we can do that, how much more can we do? And once again, if the military was going to utilize it as a weapon, that would be top secret. They would be ahead of what you are aware of. It would be top secret. So whatever you're seeing now is what's declassified. So imagine that they are 5, 10 or more years sort of in the future, right? Because again, if they are at the cutting edge of technology and they sort of capture the technology and they sort of secure it in terms of its top secret, so you don't know, that means the knowledge or information that you have is outdated, right? So let's say they've been working on it for 5 years, right? In secret. So you don't know, your knowledge is 5 years old. If they've been working on it for 10 years, you don't know, and your knowledge is 10 years behind. So it's like you're in the past, right? Because you can only stay up to date with things that you're informed about, but if things are done in secret, you will not be up to date. So we're probably not up to date in terms of how close we are to using weather as a weapon. Anyway, I gotta go, just some thoughts. I would really love to hear your comments. Please comment below, let me know what you guys think. And also, take a look at the link, look at weather modification. It's the real deal, not conspiracy theories. It's real, guys. But I can't see storms being unleashed in North Korea as a weapon. Well, could you see invisible planes flying through the sky, invisible to radar? A lot of things we have today that in the past we would have never thought were possible. This is Carlos Speaks Wall Street, and this has been a technology discussion. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, click on the like button. Until next time.